What is your take, real quick, before our next guest is on? Do you like when people go on the Jumbotron and ask their wives to marry them?
Unfortunately, I think it's just been a little played out, so it doesn't seem that unique anymore.
No, because you're not romantic, so I think our next guest is going to be with me.
Actually, this is a really good person to ask about a lot of things. We'll get to basketball in a second. Damon Stoudamire has just stopped by our set. We're on in Portland, so we know people are going to go bananas for you. Coach, you're now taking over for Georgia Tech. You're coaching the Yellow Jackets. Long playing career, now coaching career, but we were just talking about people who propose at sporting events. So a guy at the Dodger game yesterday ran out on the field, takes a knee to propose to his wife, and got obliterated by security. You've probably seen dozens of proposals up on the Jumbotron. What do you think?
I wouldn't do it in front of everybody, because what if it goes wrong? I just think you got to keep it simple. That's putting people on the spot, depending on who the potential spouse is. You're playing with fire.
So you notice that there's been a lot of bad stories about interactions with NBA players and fans now. I would say basketball, especially at a professional level, is the one sport where you're really closest to the fans. Was that a constant problem when you were playing?
It was. I mean, I think, like, it was way different back then. There used to be notes on our cars, and, you know, even in my beloved city of Portland, I mean, you know, there was a couple notes on my cars. Quit shooting. You're shooting too much.
Like
pass a little more. I mean, it just, you know, it is what it is what it is. But I think what has happened is just so. There's so much freedom of speech, I think, nowadays. I think that we live by it, and then sometimes when we get called on it, we play the victim, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? So
it's kind of interesting, especially Damon Stoudamire's here. He's just taken over for Georgia Tech. He's going to be coaching the Yellow Jackets, which is awesome. He's a former Rookie of the Year in the NBA. You were also a Celtics assistant, and Jaylen Brown. By the way, congrats on going to the finals last year.
Thank you.
But Jaylen Brown has been given some interviews lately, kind of talking about the difficulties playing in Boston, maybe laying some breadcrumbs that he might not want to be a Celtic for much longer. Did you notice that he's maybe contemplating these kinds of things?
I don't think JB is contemplating it at all. I think JB likes where he's at. I think JB just kind of speaks his mind. Yeah. I don't take anything from what he says. He's passionate. He's loyal, and I thought he was one of the best young men I've been around in terms of, you know, the status that he has. And, you know, I really appreciated my time with him. I love talking with him. But I think sometimes, you know, as with anything, you have some players that wear things on their sleeves, and I just think he wears it on his sleeves. And, you know, I mean, I think that he goes, he plays hard, he plays the game, and I think that's the things that people should look at instead of listening to his words, because JB is again loyal, and he's passionate, and he plays to win.
We're talking to Damon Stoudamire, new coach at Georgia Tech. All right, you've played with so many great coaches. You've been assistant to great coaches. Who has influenced your style the most, coaching-wise, that you've had as a coach?
You know, I think Coach Olsen. You know, the way he was always even keeled. I thought his demeanor was great. I thought he was great with people and building relationships. You know, he had built his practices were build-ups. He did a lot of coaching in practice, not so much in the games, because that's what he felt like practices were for. And he challenged us. He challenged us in his own way. He did a really good job of challenging us in his own way. So, you know, that's how I try to be. I'm not as smooth as he was with it, you know. But, you know, Coach really, he's influenced my coaching style for sure.
What made you want to get into coaching?
Chance. It was a chance meeting. A chance. Right? When I say a chance meeting, it wasn't a chance meeting about like with someone to coach. So I was done playing. I was at Rice, the 30-second story, and I was at Rice. I used to work out a lot at Rice University. That's when Chris Del Conte was the athletic director at Rice. It was his first job. So he was at Arizona with me when I was an undergrad. And so I used to go up there and just blow the breeze with him. And then he was like, man, you should get into coaching. And I was like, man, I do not want to coach. I promise you, that's what I said. I don't want to coach. I said, that's not what I want to do. He said, man, you'd be great for these kids. He said, you should go down there and talk to Ben, man. He'll let you do it. So Ben Braun had just taken over. He had got fired at Cal. And so Ben was gracious enough. I went down there, and he kind of gave me a volunteer role, which I was fine with. I mean, because I just wanted to get my feet wet. I didn't really know, couldn't get on the court, none of that stuff. And I just liked it. And so as I liked it, he let me evolve, and that's kind of how it started. And I would end up being with him for maybe 2.5, 3 months. And then Lionel Hollins got the job with the Memphis Grizzlies, and he brought me there. That's how it started.
And what's the connection to Georgia Tech? Like, I know you came up in the Pacific Northwest,
right.
And you've played, you've never really played in Atlanta. It must have been exciting. Georgia Tech is such a rich program.
Yes, it is.
And, why was that connection there?
I mean, for me, I think, like, to even come back, Georgia Tech was one of the only jobs I would have taken. I think being in Atlanta and what I remember Georgia Tech, what the basketball programs were, that was big for me. I just think, like, Atlanta's a great city, and the ACC is a great conference, obviously. So many great teams. It's the profile of things. And I think, in terms of the hire, I think, like, nowadays, man, people just want good people. They want people to know what they're doing. I don't think demographics really matter as much as they did. It used to be, as we know, well, he don't know the area. I actually lived in Atlanta for 6 years. My 2 sons live in Atlanta, so I have a lot of roots there, a lot of family there. So, I'm looking forward to it, though. It's exciting times, and, I'm looking forward to this challenge.
Damon Stoudamire is here stopping by, of course, now the head coach of Georgia Tech, but spent 11 years in the NBA, coached in the NBA as well, most recently with the Celtics. You spent time in Portland, 7 years in Portland, I believe. Dame Lillard now. Yeah. It's an interesting situation, right? Because they just shut him down for the rest of the season. Yeah. He went on Dan Patrick's show, Perloff's former show, today and said that wasn't his decision. He still wants to play. And it seems like people can't get past the fact that he just wants to stay in Portland. He wants to be loyal to them, and it's like no one can understand why he hasn't jumped ship. Right. What's your advice to Dame if he asked you?
My advice to him is that you stay where you want to stay, and you stay where you're comfortable, because a championship isn't guaranteed. So if that's the chase and somebody guaranteed that at the end of the rainbow, then leave. But nobody can guarantee that. Maybe it's a better opportunity out there. Maybe it's a better team, but that doesn't mean he's going to get to his ultimate goal. So I love the fact that he stayed loyal to Portland. Obviously it's my hometown team. So, without Dame in Portland, man, that's going to hurt a lot of people. So I love the fact that he's been loyal, and he stayed true to who he is, and that's the biggest thing for me when I look at his situation.
When you watch Dame and Steph Curry and all these guys play, you're a great outside shooter. It feels like you're allowed to shoot from 5 to 10 feet further than when you were playing. How would you have done in this new NBA where you shoot from the logo?
I never talk about it. I wish I could have played in this era, because every shot I took was a bad shot back when I played. They said bad shot. That always is. I took a lot of bad shots, but today it's the norm.
There'd be no notes on your card today.
No.
Last one for you, Damian. I know you're short on time, but because of the eras that you played in the NBA, you caught the tail end of Michael Jordan, and then obviously you got some LeBron as well. Do you want to end the debate right here? LeBron, Jordan, who's the best? Whatever you say, that's going to be it from here on out.
I mean, this is what I'll say. I think LeBron's body of work, would say he's the best player to ever play the game. Just his body of work. I didn't see everybody play it. Now I'm basing it on that. And Michael Jordan to me was the most dominant player. I don't think it's no question. He's the most feared player. I don't think it's no question. I think, like, the only reason this is a debate is because he kept retiring. If he took like 3 years off. People forget about that. He took 3 years off. If he didn't take those 3 years off, some of these records wouldn't have been caught.
Yep.
That's a great point.
There you go, Meg.
Damon, thank you so much for stopping by. Really appreciate it. Best of luck with the Yellow Jackets. Awesome stuff at Georgia Tech.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.